The U.S. military is changing its story about why an airstrike was called that led to a deadly attack on a hospital in Afghanistan. Doctors Without Borders is demanding an investigation from someone outside the American military. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin fills us in tonight from the Pentagon.
2 days after a U.S. airstrike hit a hospital used by the aid group Doctors Without Borders, killing 22 people, including doctors and children, the top U.S. general in Afghanistan called a press conference at the Pentagon to correct the record about statements made by the U.S. military this weekend that the airstrikes were ordered because U.S. lives were at risk from the Taliban.
The impression that people got after the first couple of days is they were firing directly on U.S. forces. And what I'm telling you today is, as I've talked to the investigating officer, as we continue to get updated information, that that was not the case.
General John Campbell, who was in Washington preparing for congressional testimony when the hospital was hit, said today an American AC-130 Spectre gunship was deployed. It's armed with cannons and a 25-millimeter Gatling gun.
The Afghans asked for air support from a special forces team that we have on the ground, providing train, advise, and assist.
U.S. officials say the Taliban fired from the hospital, a charge Doctors Without Borders angrily denies, describing the attack as a war crime. Quote, their description of the attack keeps changing, from collateral damage to a tragic incident to now attempting to pass responsibility to the Afghanistan government. The reality is the U.S. dropped those bombs. Meantime, in Syria, Russian forces are on the move. Defense officials say over the weekend the Russians sent 4 Smerch rocket launchers and 6 artillery pieces accompanied by infantry units from its airbase along the Mediterranean to within striking range of Syrian rebels in Hama and Homs, some backed by the U.S., as the Russian military expands its support for the Assad regime by creating a protective belt around the regime's stronghold. There is still no evidence the Russians have carried out strikes against ISIS.
By taking military action in Syria against moderate group targets, Russia has escalated the civil war. This approach is tantamount to pouring gasoline on the fire of the Syrian civil war.
Meanwhile, U.S. military sources are downplaying reports that Russian Sukhoi fighter jets allegedly crossed into Turkey this weekend, telling me the U.S. military does not think that the Russians are poking the Turks. It may have been at least one of the planes was lost. Brett?
Jennifer Griffin live at the Pentagon. Jennifer, thank you.